Welcome to your kNights podcast. Today is the 4th of June. I am your host, Corey, and with me we have Keikoa.
Hi.
And we have Ben.
Hey.
All right. Well, let's get right into this. Let's go to the round table.
What's the round table?
The round table. Basically, we just go over what's new in our lives, anything that happens, something, or what can be happening in the future. Depends. But for this week, what we're going to do is, how was your past weekend?
So this weekend I went to the Long Beach Comic Book Expo, not the Comic Con, which I still I'm not really sure what it is, the difference. I'm sure someone else could tell me, but when I went to it, it was kind of, someone told me it was like the smallest expo or Comic Con thing ever, because after we went to WonderCon a couple months ago, I think now, or maybe about a month ago, and it was huge. There was so much to look at in the expo floor to buy stuff, but when we went to this one, it was like one ballroom big, and after seeing it, we were like, wow, that is really small.
Wait, ballroom as in like a panel size ballroom?
Yeah, actually, yeah, basically, because it was at the Long Beach Convention Center, and they had rooms where they had panels going on the floor, but the actual expo where you could actually buy stuff was kind of just one ballroom where you would have you could have had another panel. But so it was small, but it was still cool because a lot of good stuff to look at, a lot of fun to be had.
You happen to pick up any comic books or any trade back paper?
I did buy a few. I bought Batman Under the Red Hood, I believe. I'm not sure if I'm saying that correctly. I'm blanking on it now, but I also bought the Deadpool trade paperback, the third one that just came out, I guess. So I bought that because I had the first two, and I also got Age of Apocalypse because, it's another story I wanted to read from the X-Men, so I picked that up too. But yeah, it was pretty cool, very fun.
Cool.
Did you see? Was anyone dressed up over there?
Oh yeah, cool, there were a lot of cosplayers, but that's kind of normal, I guess, for a con. So, and we took some pictures with like a few stormtroopers, a kind of a shorter Spider-Man, not like tall, but
bulgy.
But bulgy, yes, and yeah, he had and what was funny was we were standing there and we were gonna take a picture with him, and meanwhile, someone else dressed as Deadpool crossed with Marty McFly, because he's wearing the vest, carrying a hoverboard. He was everything except he had the Deadpool mask on, but then from the neck down, you'd think he was Marty, and he was basically yelling at Spider-Man, asking where Gwen was. And he's like, oh, too soon, kind of thing. You're basically being Deadpool, and it was actually pretty funny if you know who Deadpool is. If not, then it's just some dick over there just yelling at somebody else. But if you know the whole thing, it was actually pretty funny. I think it was just some random dude that just came up and started talking at Spider-Man.
I wonder if Spider-Man actually understood what Deadpool was trying to put off.
Oh no, he heard him. He was like, because he also made a mention of his spider bulge, because it was kind of prominent. I mean, once you noticed it, you couldn't not notice it. It was like,
Like roll of quarters prominent, or stuff rolled up sock prominent?
Yeah, like you more sock.
Yeah.
like with a cup, kind of, yeah. Wearing a cup with tight spandex. Yeah, so very stood out. But I mean, I guess that's one of the things about the costume. I don't know. I did see Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, yet it didn't seem that prominent in those. Maybe CGI or something. They just like get rid of it or something, or less form-fitting in certain areas, so it's not your full attention on his
bulge.
Right. I don't know, because I didn't really notice it before, but just standing there, it's like, just seeing him standing there, it looked like I can't not see it now. Now that Deadpool, that dick over there pointed out, and I was like, well, now it can't be unseen kind of thing. But, it's still pretty cool. I mean, it's still a really good costume, so.
Just the images burned forever in your eyes. Your retinas.
Apparently, yes. Now if I read Spider-Man again, it's going to be like,
Every panel.
Just staring at his crotch.
Then you get through the whole comic book, then you go, now I gotta go read it.
It's like, okay, this one's good. It's not going to be a problem. I can do this. But it was pretty cool. Like I said, I kept looking up trying to figure out what the difference was between the Expo and the con. I think the con's not even taking place till October.
Yeah, it's later on.
Yeah, it's not even until later on, so they split it up. Plus, originally the Expo was apparently 1 day, and this year they decided to move it to 2 days. Although
this is the second year.
I'm not sure which one it
third
is. Yeah, I'm not sure which one it is, but I mean, I guess we didn't really go to the panels. We looked at them, but it wasn't really anything that interested us. So we looked through all of them. We're like, I don't really feel like looking at any of these panels. But I guess if you spend time at the panels and the expo, like the market or the place where you could buy stuff, then you could spend most of your day there. Or if you're a cosplayer, you probably just hang out and just look good in your costume.
So how long did it take you to see everything over there?
I think we're a poor metric because basically we kind of just like going to floor just to see what we could buy.
The exhibit hall?
Yeah, the exhibit hall basically. So
but everything was in that one ballroom.
All the stuff to buy was in that one ballroom. They had another room that had the cosplay booth set up. So all the different it wasn't a lot of them, but there were a few that had specific cosplay things set up for like their particular whatever, like the stormtroopers and stuff. And then the rest of the halls in there were all panels for certain things. And like I said, they weren't bad panels, they just weren't anything that we were interested in. So I think if you go to the panels and you go to buy stuff, then you could probably spend more of your day there. But we were kind of just into wanting to buy stuff or at least look at the stuff, because a lot of that stuff there, they tend to have artists there that just have things to sell, like paintings or like prints of stuff that you probably couldn't find anywhere else. So it's really
sketches
interesting.
And commissions
it seems like stuff I wouldn't see normally. Like you can't just usually go to a store and find it. So
right.
It's really interesting to walk around there and just see maybe some one kind of thing. You're like, I never thought of that before.
So that gets expensive really fast.
Yeah, it does. Although I'm getting better at not buying as many things. Like I bought the comic books, but they were on sale. I tell myself they were on sale, but I mean, I guess I still could have waited and bought them somewhere else. But I bought them there maybe because I was at a comic book thing, so I was like, I should buy some comic books too.
Got to make this ticket worth it.
Yeah, I mean, well, we've been talking about picking up some anyway, so I mean, it's kind of something.
Well, you just started getting into them. Like when I went to Kamikaze last year, I started like getting into it, and so I started buying tons of comics because I was like, oh, I want to read more and more. And then now you're kind of catching up, so you're borrowing a lot of my stuff, but you're looking for your own thing to get into.
Yeah, but it is nice being able to read yours. I mean, since someone in our group has it, might as well just read it and share it than going out and have to have multiple copies of the same trade.
Thank you for being our public library.
Yeah,
basically.
Well, but you were talking about you wanted to get into reading Green Arrow because of the series Arrow, which I haven't watched at all. But I mean, I've heard good things about it. You were saying it was good, so you were saying that you wanted to actually. The show made you want to read the comic book.
Yeah, I mean, because I just want to know more of like the actual comic book history of them. Because I know, like in all TV series, like everything, it's always going to be skewed a little bit. So I just want to get more of the his history behind him, and like the actual true comic book, like in the comic book universe, how he was raised and everything, and how he became the Green Arrow. and how it
So,
differs from the actual show.
You want the Jesus years.
Yeah, basically.
Well, because now, I mean, I would say recently, but not, I guess last year or 2 years ago or something, when they rebooted the DC universe. Because it was, before it was, I mean, there was a long continuity, and then, like I said, I can't remember when exactly, but they rebooted the entire DC universe, so everyone got a new origin story. Or
Is this the new 52?
This is the new 52 stuff, so everyone got a brand new kind of makeover. So I guess, are you interested in seeing the new stuff and going back to the old stuff, which technically now isn't in continuity, because I guess it's not considered continuity anymore. It's just now the new line is the new continuity. So
it's a retcon.
Yeah.
Well, basically, yeah, it was one giant, like, okay, which part of me thinks is cool, because if you've never read comic books, you can get right on from the beginning. But on the bad side, if you spent all that time, and like now I'm reading the old stuff, it's like, wow, this is really interesting. And then in the back of my mind, wow, this doesn't count anymore technically. I mean, it's not in continuity anymore, even though it's part of their history.
It's still entertaining, though. So.
Oh, yeah, and I think a lot of the other stuff. But I don't know about the new Arrow one, because you've been watching it. So it's, I don't know if, you haven't been reading the books.
Yeah,
though,
so I can't, I've watched it, but I can't say if it's accurate to the old Green Arrow, the new Green Arrow, so I'm not sure. That's why I kind of want to read up on both of them. I want to read, like, the original Green Arrow and his origin stories, and then also read the new 52 and figure out, like, all of their origin stories and see kind of how the CW's Arrow fits into it, and see how much they kept it actually close to it or skewed it. And I'm just curious on that. Yeah. But I do want to read. There's other comic book series that I do want to read as well. I mean, I do have a lot of Batman that I want to read. And then a bunch of the other Justice League characters, The Flash being one of them.
And that one's also getting a kind of Jesus years makeover for the CW.
Yeah, I mean, they introduced the Flash into the Arrow in the second season. The second season they introduced him into there. They introduced him. He's the Barry Allen Flash, so, and then he did pretty well, and fans were pretty excited about that. And they actually are creating a whole series around him. And as I've watched the trailer, I know that the Green Arrow is actually going to do a cameo into the Flash, which is pretty cool since the Flash was introduced in the Arrow. So then now they're going to kind of join them together. So I'm hoping that they're going to be mixed and be able to be like fight together and like team up against the other people. So that should be pretty cool.
I do wonder though if because they have the Arrow, they have Arrow, the Flash, and I believe, is it Fox who's coming out with Gotham, basically?
Yeah, it's on Fox.
That's on Fox. But it seems like DC's finally, like, well, they're not pulling together, but there's a lot of properties that are coming out from DC, whereas Marvel has a lot of the movie. It looks like TV, DC's trying to make a big push with a lot of different characters. And you got the movie, the Batman versus Superman, and then you've got Justice League. I'm wondering if they're going to try to pull it all together. Arrow, the Flash, not Gotham, but
yeah, I think Marvel kind of kickstarted pretty much everything. Like it woke up everyone else to, if you treat the property right and kind of listen to the fans and give them what they want, then it's going to work out for everyone. Yeah,
true. But I think also, because I mean, it's not the first time they've tried to make a superhero movie. So, and you've got a few that are out there that are kind of not as good. I think now, in the times that we live in now, you have, with CGI, you have better ability to kind of make the movies seem more like the comic books. Like back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, used a lot of practical effects, but there's only so much you could do with practical effects.
Yeah.
And with CG, you get more of an opportunity to like make it even more spectacular, like a comic book would, which is like almost like unreal when you look at it. You have the power to do that now. Of course, now people say there's too much CG and it needs to be more practical effects, which, okay, that's fine.
I think the other thing that's also really helping him is they're basically trying to replicate that Marvel formula and have one big cohesive universe to tie everything in together, and that way fans can follow each hero and then kind of jump to the next hero as they interact with them.
Well,
and
I mean, it seems like they're kind of following them, but they're like they saw, oh, Avengers did really well. We need an Avengers movie. Who do we got as a team? We got the Justice League. Okay, make a Justice League movie. Kind of jumping over. Well, there was the Iron Man movie. There was a Thor movie. It was a slow, nice build to the.
It started a little bit before that with Smallville and how they kind of got like the young Justice League.
Well,
sort of forming.
Yeah, but then they dumped that. Like, you're not going to get the Smallville. It's its own thing, basically. You're not going to get the Smallville like Superman in the new Justice League.
Yeah, it's kind of like a tease, and then they basically took that formula and kind of rehashed it for the more current.
Because I heard that it could have been good. Like, if you take the Smallville Superman and then you place them in the movies, and you've got this connection of the people of the fans of Smallville with your Superman. You've already built a fan base to them. Now you're just like, if you want to see the origin stuff, we already did that on TV. Here's it in the movie. You go bigger, and you can kind of continue, which is what they could have done. But now, kind of that with the Batman franchise, it's kind of that's its own thing. They didn't like pull it together and try not that, because Batman's a great movie. The Dark Knight Rises and the whole trilogy is good, but it's a standalone.
Kind of until the end.
Right. But it's a standalone movie. It's not, DC kind of dropped the ball, like, or I don't know if it's their choice, but they could,
maybe some pressure from the studio in that part, just to try to keep everything as unique and individual intellectual properties, but yeah, it was good in that it strengthened the individual stories, but it also hurt the universe as a whole, just because you couldn't really make that connection the way like Marvel did with Avengers, going from Iron Man, Hulk, and like all those characters and everything.
Yeah, they connected everyone together, like slightly from the very beginning. Like they had the long-term goal of actually doing that. And they put in like the little things from the very beginning.
Well, because you can feel when you think of Marvel, you can almost see the lines that they have like set. Like, we want this, and we want it all to connect into one. Whereas it's like DC's really scattershot. Until now, it looks like they're trying to pull it together just really quickly. Unfortunately, because now you've got a Justice League movie, which everyone knew. Like, once they started like giving actors characters, they were just like, okay, we get it. You're pushing for a Justice League movie. I mean, it's like 4 years out though. It's not soon, but you're not giving any of those. I'm curious to see how they give those characters any kind of story, because I mean, in Batman, Superman, most of the story is going to be focused on those two. I'm pretty sure, with cameos by other Justice League members at some point, but you're still going to be like, oh, was that Wonder Woman that just passed by? Yep, okay, and then boom, Justice League later on.
Yeah,
it's just kind of a little quick, because I mean, well, a lot of people want to see a Wonder Woman movie, and if you could make a good movie standalone for basically all the characters, see, you could have individual movies, do a slow roll, and just make a string of good movies, and then boom, Justice League. And you could basically steal what Marvel did and then do it yourself. But
well, I think the part of the problem is like Warner Brothers is they want the success that Disney has with the Marvel properties, and they're trying to copy them. But since Disney has such a huge lead already. I mean, they're already in a phase 2 for the Avengers, and phase 2 is already coming out, and I think internally they're wrapping everything up or getting towards the end of phase 2, and they have phase 3 all planned out already, and they just need to execute that once they complete phase 2. And so that means Avengers 2, Avengers 3, and so forth.
Right.
But with Warner Brothers, they just barely started.
Well,
so that's like, we got to really push this out. We got to kind of get it strike while the iron's hot, basically.
But that's kind of on them. It's not like the Batman movies did come out when the other movies were coming out, so they would have had their opportunity if they wanted to at that time to like go, well, we want to start building now. Now they're behind, but it's their own fault. They're behind.
Yeah.
They could have totally started doing something. Although there is the Green Lantern movie, which I mean, it's apparently a horrible movie. I thought it was fine. You know, it wasn't the greatest movie ever, but it wasn't the worst movie ever either. But basically, it was panned. It wasn't a good movie, and now they're disavowing knowledge of it. But I wonder if it had done well, if it could have been. It could have been their Iron Man, essentially their kind of their first building. They make it the Green Lantern movie, then you bring a good Batman movie out. Well, pretty much most of the Batman movies are good, except for a few. They just start building. Everyone gets their own movie. Same setup as Marvel, but maybe they were trying that. Maybe they did have that as a plan, and it just fell apart with that movie, which is unfortunate. But I mean, yeah, I think they got really ambitious with the movie. Speaking of that particular movie, I don't know too much about the Green Lantern, but from what I've heard from other people that do know more about it, that they kind of crammed a lot into it. Like, it was like when they crammed a lot into it, like you had a big bad boss at the end of the movie who doesn't even appear till later on in the books. That would have been like the second or third in the trilogy of Green Lantern. Like, it would have been Green Lantern 3 that he should have appeared in, is basically what people are saying. But they wanted to get him in here, and it kind of like, how this movie's too full is kind of one of the things I've heard, among other things. People don't like Ryan Reynolds, so that's already a big downer for some people. But
he has to play Deadpool.
He's like the only person I could see playing Deadpool. But that's only helping Marvel, which I'm okay with, because Deadpool is one of my favorite characters, so I'm okay with that. But DC needs to figure out how. I mean, I can't. I hope that Superman and Batman works out for them. Like, Man of Steel did very well. Still kind of mixed.
Yeah.
Speaking of Spider-Man, did you hear about that rumor that Disney might have Spider-Man back into the Marvel fold? I'm not sure if there's any weight to that or not.
Well, I heard that the reason that they don't have them is as long as
Sony keeps making them movies, right?
As long as they have
an agreement outside of that, like just recently.
Oh,
well,
really?
there was a thing where in the Spider-Man movie, you have at the end of the Amazing Spider-Man 2, you have a trailer for X-Men. Well, that's still I keep forgetting.
I think it was
owns
for X-Men
Fox?
because Fox
Is the
has
same director.
X-Men,
Right.
And then
But
Sony
I mean, just
has
having the
Spider-Man,
Yeah.
and they're trying to
But I
kind
don't.
of team up to stay away and keep them from Disney.
Yeah, I don't
in order
think
to help each other.
I haven't heard anything about Spider-Man. Them losing Spider-Man. I mean, especially since they're doing so well with it, and they're that weird contract where as long as they are doing something with him,
Yeah, as long as it's in production before a certain time period is up.
yeah. And I can't imagine why they wouldn't make another. They've already set up an Amazing Spider-Man 3, so
Unless Disney threw a whole bunch of money at them.
true. I guess
is
they
possible.
could if they wanted to. Yeah. I mean, it'd be nice to see Spider-Man back in the fold with the Marvel Universe. But then again, I like the movies that came out that they had produced. It's not like they were making bad movies with Spider-Man. Like, I like the Spider-Man movies. I guess I'd feel worse if they were they kept the license, yet they were making really crappy Spider-Man movies. But the movies, and same with the X-Men. Like, X-Men, yeah, I'd like to see Marvel with them, but the X-Men movies have been pretty good, so I'm like, well, I can't complain. It's like people say, oh, you should stop watching it. And like, yeah, but they're not bad movies, so, and I don't know. I just like, well, until they like really screw the pooch on the thing, like some people say Last Stand, but First Class is really good, Future Past is really good, so for the most part it seems like they know what they're doing with it, so I'm okay with them having it.
Yeah, and they actually, but like, oh, I guess I can't really say that since Ben hasn't seen it.
Right.
But let me change my point here then. I feel like if Disney were to take back the X-Men, though, like, they would have to completely reboot it with different people. I don't know if, like, they would keep the same people, or what do you think they would reboot it, or would they... You think they'd keep the same cast? I know, so, like, that's why I'm saying, like, if they got them back, do you think they would keep the same cast and everything, and then just try to continue the story? Or could they continue the story if they got them?
Well, I think they do their own thing with it.
Yeah, so then they'd have to reboot it and get a new cast, right?
Well, I guess so, but it wouldn't be... I mean, they kind of already are rebooting it with First Class, essentially. They're just like... you had the first 3 X-Men, and then you have First Class, which like, we've got a few staples, but then basically everyone's younger, and we've got other mutants that show up. So they already kind of rebooted it with First Class anyway. But
then with Days of Future Past, it kind of...
Well, I think they're still going to leave it... I want to say... I'm only guessing. They're going to leave it, like... They're still going to continue mostly with the First Class crew.
Okay. And then kind of do, like, the new of how they get to that point.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm just speculating here. But I mean, they already set up that whole section, so... And they've already run the course with the original X-Men with the first 3 movies, so they might as well just run with what they've rebooted already.
True.
But then again, I guess...
It's almost kind of like Star Wars, too. Like, you had the original, and then you have the prequel, episodes 1, 2, and 3. And Disney, for the most part, is saying, yeah, it's there, but we don't want to draw attention to it. We're going to put all the attention on the classic, the one that everyone knows and loves, and go based off of that, and then kind of maybe reapproach it back in the future, like later on down the line, and try to get everyone back on board by giving them small doses of what didn't work out so well.
Yeah, I guess, yeah. Well, because the thing about Marvel even getting back the X-Men would be, I guess, to throw the X-Men in with the Avengers, basically. You want more and more, but Avengers is already pretty busy. You've already got 6 heroes. And 2 that didn't get their own movie, but...
The other thing, too, is, like, they've already got it planned out to, like, phase 3 at least.
Well, yeah.
So
well, I mean, if
they're going to definitely run with that course, because they don't want to go back and have to rewrite the whole story and everything.
Although, I mean, if the X-Men dropped in their lap, I think they'd, like, go, well, now we all... Like, their plan has no X-Men in it, so if all of a sudden, for some weird reason, like, they just threw a bunch of money at them, and then all of a sudden X-Men showed up on their doorstep, I doubt they'd go like, we got the X-Men, but we're not going to use them. I think they'd redo it, although I don't see them actually getting X-Men.
I mean, they already introduced the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, kind of.
Yeah, I kind of see them, like, folding the characters in kind of slowly and saying, well, we're not going to, like, kind of derail the whole story and everything that we have right now. We'll just kind of throw them in where we see that they'll fit.
True, but then are we talking about, like, if they all of a sudden did get the X-Men by somehow weird, like, thing?
Something happened, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you did that, but then you've got the X-Men fans, and if you start just trickling them in, you're just going to be like, they'll be like, come on, how about an X-Men movie again? Yeah. Like, we had X-Men movies, and they stopped making them.
I could see them doing like a spin-off, kind of like a little side mission thing.
You're making the X-Men the side mission thing?
Well, kind of like what they're doing in Star Wars. Like, you have the Boba Fett movie basically come in between the main storyline.
But Boba Fett in general was a side character. He was a very popular side character, but if you made like an X-Men side movie, I mean,
yeah,
I don't think there would be very many people that would be very happy about that.
Well,
But, I
they'd
mean,
be
it's
happy
all-
that they're getting a movie.
Yeah,
And that
but
eventually-
But they'd be
I feel
pissed
like
off.
they'd feel like Disney's just like, we got him
Basically,
back now. So
yeah.
like, we're just gonna throw him, hold him over here for now, and then when we need to, we'll bring him in.
They'd be all pissed
And
off,
it's like,
like,
okay,
oh,
well,
great.
here's your movie for now, just to hold you guys over until we can get to that.
Of course, we're like assuming that Marvel couldn't multitask and like, well, here's an Avenger movie, here's an X-Men movie. The only problem, like I said, is like, yeah, you get pretty busy in the Marvel universe trying to have that many main characters, because the fact that they're separated actually works out in I think, for them. Because the Avengers, I really like the Avengers movie, but it is jam-packed with heroes. So if you had like an Avengers X-Men or versus X-Men thing, holy crap.
Oh,
You have so many characters being thrown around, and everyone would get like barely any screen time, or a lot of characters people like would be like, I barely saw, well, I was like Gambit, but you never see Gambit. No one ever sees Gambit, although apparently he is supposed to be getting
His own movie.
his own movie. So, even though he was in Wolverine Origins, kind of barely, and for a little bit of a fan service. It was cool to see him.
Yeah.
I like Gambit, so it was like, oh, that's cool. But getting his own movie, I'd like to see that. I don't know enough about the character specifically. I remember seeing him in the animated series, but that was only bits and pieces. So I haven't actually seen or read any of his just standalone where it's just Gambit being the lead. So I don't know what kind of story that would craft, but he's got his own book, so I guess it'll make sense. But
Yeah.
I don't think that's just kind of they have a cast for Gambit, but they don't really have. There's no like pre-production or anything, right? That's just, we're going to make a Gambit movie sometime.
It's like a idea right now that they're,
Okay.
or is it more than an? They're
I
like
thought
actually.
they already had the.
Do they have a script and everything ready for it?
Wait,
or?
now is that Marvel? Marvel? No, wait,
It's
no.
Fox
No,
that's doing
it's-
Fox
yeah,
is doing.
Fox.
Yeah.
Sorry, because I was like,
Isn't
yeah.
it part of they're trying to keep them so there's like, okay, we need to keep doing these movies, so here's our extra side project that we're gonna do as well.
So Gambit's their Boba Fett.
Yes,
Okay, I see.
exactly.
That's cool. Because I like what you were saying about Disney's plan for Star Wars, how they're gonna have the main and then those side ones. I thought that was pretty cool how they got that planned out. I mean, it'll be better when I actually see it, but it sounds good in theory.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. Channing Tatum. I was like, get that name confused, but yeah, from what I read, he's
I heard
he's
he's
from
a
the
fan of-
he's from the South,
Mhm.
and he's an actual fan of Gambit, which I always think is always a good thing.
Yeah.
Like, the more that they appreciate the character, the more they're not just going to be, oh, it's just a part, whatever. What does the Gambit? What does he do? Throw cards or something? I don't know. So, from what I've read, it sounds like he knows the character well and wants to play him. So,
Yeah.
I
Which
mean-
is actually good because, I mean, he's going to put a lot more into it than, like, someone that's just whatever about it, Kind of like Ryan Reynolds in Deadpool, like how he wants to do Deadpool, so it's like he would do great at it. I mean, they both know the backstories of their character that they want to do, or in Channing Tatum's case, that he's going to do.
well, because, yeah, for Deadpool and Origins, just counting the end part where they call whatever that thing is at the end of that movie Deadpool, which it ain't, which like pissed me
Nowhere
off. I'm
even
like, what is
close to
that?
Deadpool.
And like, oh, we we closed off his mouth so he can't talk. You made Deadpool a silent character? What? But the scenes earlier where Ryan Reynolds is playing Wade Wilson, Deadpool, his name before he's Deadpool. When he goes in there, that scene, even when he's just talking, the banter coming off of him is perfect. And then when he goes in there, like, he's not as crazy as Deadpool is, but technically at this point in time, he's still Wade Wilson. He's not really Deadpool at this point in time, or he doesn't. I don't know. They don't really say, actually. He doesn't. I don't think he has a healing factor yet. He's just a really good.
He's just a really good fighter, and he's a good swordsman. Basically, at that point, he was just a really good swordsman.
Yeah.
And then he got his healing ability. Well,
he
got it later.
Oh, right.
Because at the end, when they had that Deadpool, whatever you want to call him, that was just when Stryker was just taking all the mutants' abilities and incorporating it all into him to make him like the ultimate soldier, and so that's how he got his healing powers and like the claws and everything, or the two swords or whatever.
Weren't they like coming out of his hands or something?
Yeah, it's basically like a Wolverine thing.
Yeah.
The adamantium. It was adamantium, and it was like two swords instead of claws.
I think when I watched
like Pacific Rim style.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think when I saw it too, I didn't know too much about Deadpool, but I didn't know that wasn't right. Like I didn't know as much as I do now, and now when I see him, like, what the hell is that thing? I'm like, why are you calling it Deadpool? Because Deadpool showing up at that part in the movie would have been awesome. Like an actual Deadpool who was just like pissing off Wolverine because he just wouldn't shut up. That's the kind of Deadpool I wanted to see.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah, but
they called him Deadpool because he was wearing red.
Wait, was he wearing red?
I'm pretty sure he was in red, wasn't he?
I thought he was just like he was like naked, wasn't he? Or
he
had
shirtless.
Yeah, did he have even pants on?
Like, he's all pasty and
right. He was like, yeah. It was really like nothing. Whatever made Deadpool, let's take that away, so he doesn't look like Deadpool or act like Deadpool because he can't talk, which is a good portion of his character, and let's just call him Deadpool for the hell of it, because why not? Well, because they used the Wade Wilson character who becomes Deadpool, in theory. They used him as the guy, and he's got all these powers. He's got an eye beam. A beam.
Oh,
he had red pants. That's what it was.
Did he? Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he was shirtless, had markings all over his body, but he took other mutants' powers.
The eye beam was from Cyclops.
Yeah, but it's not what it's not from. It's not from Deadpool.
Yeah.
That's the thing. It's just like, so it's like, what? He has a what? He has an eye beam. What? But I'm like, okay.
Deadpool.
And then they had that thing at the end where he's not dead, kind of thing.
Who, Deadpool?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Did that one have multiple different endings? Like, depending on, I think that one had, there were different endings depending on what theater you saw it at, I think. So yeah, I think it did. Yeah, I think that's there's there's different endings depending on which theater you saw it in, and I think one of the endings is like it comes in on his head because his head gets cut off, and then the eyes open, and I don't know if he winks or something.
Seeing that one,
but it's just like,
well, I mean, even in the comics, I mean, he does like come apart, and he's
he'd be fine. He'd survive as a head. Heck, one of the Deadpools is basically just a head.
Yeah,
that part I'm fine with. That, yeah, okay, that's a Deadpool thing. But the fact that Deadpool is still alive sucks, unless it turns into the real Deadpool somehow, like through story or retconning or whatever. They change it so he can talk now. Like that whole I can't talk thing was only temporary. And he loses the other powers, but still a badass because he, uses.
Still has the swordsmanship.
Yeah, he has all that stuff, and you reverted him into what everyone knows as Deadpool.
Die.
Yeah, you give him the healing factor like you should have, and you just make him just balls nuts and funny to us, but annoying to everyone in the Marvel universe.
Yeah,
I can see that. Well, because Ryan Reynolds has been trying to pitch, I think, for ever since the Origins, trying to get funding to do the Deadpool movie, but he wants it to be a hard R, which it should be, but it's a hard sell because you're already limiting your audience by going with the R. But if you go any lower, you're kind of not really making. He wasn't want to make a crappy Deadpool movie just to make a Deadpool movie.
Well, yeah, because that would piss off the fans more than not getting a Deadpool movie.
Exactly. Then, yeah.
So, it would probably piss him off, too, to have to play that crappy Deadpool.
Yeah.
Like, I bet you he didn't even want to do that Deadpool. He's like, really? This is what you're making me?
I saw some behind the scenes, and he seemed to like the part he was in. Because obviously I don't think you'd see him under the makeup. They just have some stunt dude, because it doesn't have to be Ryan Reynolds. It could be anybody.
At that point, no.
So he probably wasn't even there for those scenes. You might have seen it later and gone, what the hell?
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But, like, because he plays Wade Wilson really well. Like, what I think was like, well, he plays him actually kind of like Deadpool, because you don't really see Wade Wilson as Wade Wilson. You mostly just, in the comics, you just see him as Deadpool. He's already nuts, and he's already got the healing factor, and he's already talkative, so...
And chimichangas.
And chimichangas, yes.
He didn't have any chimichangas in this.
He was barely in the movie.
That's true.
Well,
I really...
Him as the Deadpool we like was barely in the movie.
Yeah.
But that other one was in the movie, too, as well.
He, like, started and ended it. But he started it way better than how he ended it.
That is one I wish... I mean, I guess they don't have it... Marvel doesn't have it in their phases. But, I mean, maybe phase 4, who knows? Or 5, or whatever. They haven't said whatever they're doing. Or have they... For the phases, have they said what they're doing? Or they just said, we're going to have movies this way, or have they already said...
No, they already have things planned out well in the 2020-something.
Have they said what they all are, though, I mean? Like, or have they said, we have plans till 2020?
No, they have plans.
I'm pretty sure they have it, they just haven't released
That's
it.
what I mean, they haven't sold anyone. Like,
no, they probably have the plans.
Yeah,
right.
It's a really well-oiled machine. Like, they know what they're doing. They got everything planned out pretty much, Disney. So they're...
Well, Disney isn't always perfect either, but they do got a lot on their side.
They are treating Marvel right, though. They're not like really messing with that group. They're kind of keeping him as a separate entity still.
Yeah,
and letting him do their thing.
Whereas, like Warner Brothers, who owns the DC license, right, for the movies and stuff, and video games, I guess, they're all over it, right? Like, Warner Brothers is really all over it, whereas...
Because I think that's their only moneymaker.
But then they're like... Whereas, like, it's Marvel kind of crafting and Disney kind of like, here's some more money, here's maybe some ideas, but, you know, do what you're going to do. Do your thing. But that's not the same on the other side. DC's like, hey, we should do this. We've been making comics with these characters for many, many years. We should probably put them together. And I mean, this is only what I think would be happening. It's like Warner Brothers is like, well, we need to make money now, so let's make a standalone movie right now or something like that. I don't know if that's true, but like the Batman ones, like they were great, but there's no way to build off of that one. They are standalone, and Christian Bale's like, I'm done, and then that's it. They're their own thing. They're great. But you have nothing to build on there. You can't...
Except for maybe like a Robin Nightwing character at the end.
Oh my god, no. My name's Robin. Like, so that's the payoff, that you are Robin. No training or anything. You don't train under the guys. Like, here's the keys to the Batcave, you know, go be somebody. Go be Robin, I guess. I'm out of here. I'm going over to England, you know, to sit in cafes and stuff. But you go and be Robin without any training or anything.
How that comes off, though, I mean, he wouldn't become Robin, because if anything, he would just take over being Batman. How that got set up.
Well, yeah,
because he wouldn't take. His name would be Robin in that movie, even though that's not ever his name in any of the comics. But
it was just like a kind of like a nod to the people who knew, like, hey, this guy's named Robin, and credits kind of thing. Like, there's no build up to it. It's not like he takes them under his wing. There's like even a training montage or anything. It's like, I know who you are. By the way, my name's Robin, but I don't tell anyone, because then no one will be surprised at the end when I say it, or when somebody else says it. I mean,
what was his name throughout the movie? Was he actually a Robin's name, or was it a new name?
No, it was something completely different. And even then, I even watching that movie, I kind of had the feeling that when they pitched that line out, I kind of almost felt it coming.
Oh, I did too. I
And
actually felt it a long time throughout the whole movie. I was like, they're probably going to try to make him into a Robin. And I thought that they would, like, do like what you were saying and do, like, a training montage or something.
Like, take him in.
Like,
do something.
like, they take him in. Because, I mean, he grew up as an orphan, I guess, and he lost his parents and stuff. So, yeah, I thought that he would have actually went in under Batman and, like, Batman would have showed him his stuff and all of the stuff instead of, like, oh, go find all my stuff after I supposedly died, you know?
I actually can't even remember how he interacts with him. Like, later on, like, does he even tell him to take over for him? Or he just he just goes, right?
Never,
well, because, he doesn't interact.
Because,
he just goes and dies, technically.
Yeah,
but
because
doesn't.
he already pretty much knew that Bruce Wayne was Batman at that point.
Which, how the hell does he know that? Like, because he's an orphan?
He's a better detective than
everybody in Gotham.
Than everybody.
Yeah,
obviously.
Apparently. This rookie one, yeah.
Yeah. That
this
just became a detective in this movie.
Well, yeah.
Figured out that.
They figured out no one else in Gotham can figure it out, but this guy can. Although, like, well, because Tim Drake kind of, it's not the exact same thing, but he does figure out.
Yeah.
But there's a little bit more to it. Like, he figures out.
Just, like, figure it out like nothing.
Yeah, like, you came to the orphanage, and now I know you're Batman because I'm an orphan or something like that. I don't know. But at least Tim Drake's, like, kind of puts it together, and you follow the lot. They throw down, like, he's been following them, or not following them, but following them in the newspaper, and he kind of understands, like, he puts pieces together, even though...
Like, he's a smart kid. And
yeah, he's a smart kid. And they kind of build it together.
With a lot of time on his hands.
With a lot of time. Well, because his parents aren't, like, dead, or they're not, like, they didn't die in some accident, like, every other Robin's.
He was just like a normal kid that
had deadbeat parents.
They didn't even want. I don't even think he didn't even want to be Robin at the time. He just he was just trying to get at that time Robin or Nightwing to come back because Batman at this point had lost. Spoilers. He had lost. Robin had died. The current Robin at the time, Jason Todd, had died, and Batman was kind of losing it. Because Tim Drake goes to Nightwing because he figured out who he was and says, you know, Batman needs a partner. He needs you to come back to be his partner. By this point, he's already been Nightwing. He's beyond being Robin.
And didn't Tim Drake want him to come back as Robin as well?
He wanted him to be
Robin.
Robin, so Batman would be less unstable because he was like he could tell he was losing it and. They build up Tim Drake, whereas this guy, like, I was an orphan, you came to the orphanage, time passed, now I know you're Batman. I'm Robin.
Nice to meet you.
Like, his name is actually Robin, too.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, okay. And he does stuff during the movie, but he's not, I guess if you wanted to make him a Robin, but I mean, I guess they didn't really. I feel like it was just like a fan service thing because they were done with the movies anyway, so they weren't going to continue them.
Like a throwaway.
Yeah, because you have a new Batman now. You have your Ben Affleck man.
That's true, because I mean, if they would have given him, like, named him like Dick Grayson, I mean, that would have been like, okay, then everybody would have wanted a Batman and Robin thing.
Yeah, you would have wanted it to continue, but you knew it wasn't going to, so
yeah,
it would have been short-lived.
It would have been like, well, you gave us this teaser, and you're not going to do anything with it, so then all the fans would be upset. So.
And like I said, I'm pretty sure, like, you got it, and I kind of saw it coming, and I'm pretty sure most people are like, hey, there's this guy, well, not kid, but kind of younger adult, I guess, who's always helping Batman through whatever he needs during this time, kind of like a Robin. And then I'm like, okay, well, they don't call him Robin, but they might as well kind of call him Robin, sort of. And they kind of do at the end, but I feel like a lot of people saw that coming. They're like, they're going to do something with it at the end where I'm Robin, or I don't know. But that series is over. Now they are rebooting it again, with the new Batman. But this time it sounds like they're trying to actually build on it. Just hopefully it's good, because you could be trying to build on a Green Lantern where you have nothing to build on. Actually, they're trying to build on Man of Steel, it looks like.
Yeah, the Superman who kills people.
That Superman. Yes. Yes. Superman who kills. Superman can't... yes, that's Superman.
Yeah, I mean, well, they're actually going off of Man of Steel, which did pretty well already. So, as long as they keep moving in the right direction and they don't fall back by adding too many characters, I mean, because if they start just throwing everybody into the Batman-Superman thing, I mean, they already took away from Superman by throwing in Batman, so as long as they don't just kind of keep throwing everybody and, like, trying to make that a Justice League movie, it should be okay. And then they should set up for each of the people, like they should do a Wonder Woman movie and give more backstory to her and all the other characters, and then take the Avengers formula and do something like that, which I hope they do, because that would be cool. I'd watch all those movies.
Now, I wonder, since they're doing a lot of good stuff actually on TV, like I said, with Arrow and the Flash kind of things, so they're definitely getting a good, strong foothold there. I wonder if they're going to use those characters in their Justice League movie that they're making, or if they're going to have specifically movie versions of Green Arrow and Flash, so they're going to have to redo again their origin stories again.
Well,
I think that's kind of the path that they have been taking. And
not really. At the beginning, when Arrow first came out, when they were doing that and people were liking the Arrow, they didn't want to combine the movies. They wanted to keep the movies and the TV shows separate. So
that's what I meant. You clearly saw that in Smallville too. Like the whole theme for Smallville was like no flights, no flight, no tights. And so you had the Tom Welling playing like Clark Kent, never really completely transforming into Superman until the season finale. And it was like the blur, the red-blue blur, and then like all this other stuff, right? And when they finally did the payoff, which the fans have been waiting for like 10 years just to see, he had the suit on and everything, but it looked weird on him. So it's like, you can see him as a Clark Kent, but he wouldn't really make a good Superman. I mean, it's a good character in building up to him, but not really one that would be able to handle a movie, like support a movie on his own if they transition from TV to movie. And that's kind of why they had to recast and sort of retell the origin story a little bit,
which
kind
is
of tweak it.
Yeah, I mean, well, because Smallville is basically all origin, isn't it? It's like however many seasons of origin.
Yeah,
because he's never Superman in it. I never watched it, so from what you made it sound like, well, I mean, it's been out for long enough. I'm okay with I don't mind. I obviously don't have the time to watch it because I got a lot of stuff to watch. But what it sounds like, it's its own thing. But then even at that time, it was always going to be its own thing, because there wasn't a Superman Returns, I guess. Did that come out when Smallville was still running, or is that still after?
If it was towards the tail end of Smallville. It wasn't anywhere near the beginning.
Right.
Because it was either over or just ended.
Because, I mean, it doesn't seem like they were trying to make a Superman movie anyway. They had Smallville, so let's focus on Smallville kind of thing.
They were rebooting the Superman movie.
Well, after what? The Christopher Reeves one?
Yeah.
Wow,
well, that's what I mean. That's a long gap between the two. Like rebooting, I guess.
I forgot which one it was.
I mean, I think it's the fourth Superman with Reeves, and then Superman Returns again.
Got Spider-Man on the head.
Okay. But anyways, Superman Returns kind of comes next, but then I was like, that's a big gap, isn't there? Or am I missing one?
No, well, they were
Well,
kind
maybe.
of.
Or does
It was
Smallville
that
fill in
Christopher Reeves one.
gap? Right.
It kind of was so bad they basically said, let's forget this ever happened and we'll kind of redo it with a more modern character, but kind of paying homage to the Christopher Reeve Superman.
Right.
And that didn't really work out so well. I mean, yeah.
Well, when it comes to Superman Returns, it's not when maybe I'm being gracious about it. Like, it's not a terrible movie. It's just kind of slow and not as
Superman
action
Returns?
packed. Yeah, Superman Returns. Like, I don't know. It's just whereas Man of Steel had a lot more action and buildings being destroyed and such, and that
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Didn't Superman Returns have like a huge budget as well during that time? Like it was like
I wouldn't.
I feel like it
wouldn't
had
doubt
a
it
really
did.
large budget, so I was actually expecting a lot more than what it had.
Oh yeah.
But for the budget that they had for that movie during that time, so I don't know. I was expecting more than what it was when I saw it. So
Yeah, I think you and everyone else.
Yeah.
That's why they didn't run with Superman Returns. But excuse me. But they didn't continue that one because it didn't do so well, and they're continuing the Man of Steel. Sort of. It's becoming the Batman vehicle now to Batman's Superman buddy cop movie.
yeah.
It's basically yeah.
Do you know if they're gonna be like it's Batman versus Superman or Batman and?
Well, I think it's
Superman
gonna
type
be
thing?
It's Batman v Superman.
Batman 5 Superman.
Got
Yeah,
it.
basically, I think I'm imagining because usually when they do these kind of hero versus hero, which is what people say they want, but people don't really want that. They want the heroes to fight something else. But I mean, like, we want them to fight each other, but it's never like that great usually. So I think that usually what they do is like it's a misunderstanding. For some reason, Superman or Batman attacks the other one because of usually a misunderstanding. Then the real big bad comes about. Then they buddy
Team
cop
up
together, and then they take down the big bad. Kind of
and then
thing.
they're good again until someone else fucks with them.
Right. So, I mean, that's how they usually do it, and I wouldn't doubt that that's probably what they're going to do, just to like get them together, like some misunderstanding. Although, I mean, technically, you don't really need another origin story for really either one of them, to be honest. Everyone knows the Superman story. Everyone knows more or less how the Batman story goes. Bruce Wayne parents die, becomes vigilante, millionaire, or playboy, everyone kind of knows now because you've had so many iterations of the telling of his origins from the 80s, or I was gonna say 80s Batman, but 90s Batman, the Tim Burton Batman. Basically, they told the origin there. They retold the origin in Batman Begins.
I feel like the origin is in almost all of them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you can
not
spend less time doing it now.
It's not really detailed or anything. They just kind of give a synopsis of basically what happened.
I mean,
And-
I would say Batman Begin does a lot. It looks like.
Well, yeah.
That one does, but I mean, yeah.
And I think for that one, it's a lot more when he's already older, where kind of like the new Gotham series is touching. It's supposed to intersect with the storyline from when he's still a child, basically till he gets to that point, is where it seems like it's going with it.
Yeah, it's going to fill in
So
that
if you
gap.
combine it, you get the whole story,
Although-
the entirety of his Jesus years.
I guess technically, yeah, because, yeah, I
And-
guess so.
Well, when in the preview as well, the trailer for Gotham as well, it actually shows like all the villains and everything in their origins as well. Kind of how it kind of seems it's gonna come off, but I mean, you never know. But That's just how it comes off.
I kind of saw
a little bit of liberties are taken, but
yeah. So I'll just wait and see what they actually do. The trailer was like, it was good. It's just kind of like a few parts were like, that's weird. I guess I'll just have to wait and see what they do with it. But they're still going to be rebooting it with Ben Affleck. Or the newest Batman's going to be a reboot. So, but he's not getting his own standalone movie this time. He's piggybacking on Superman's movie, technically. Although, now you don't have to tell, since it's Superman's second movie, you don't have to retell his origin. And you don't have to tell Batman's, but you're going to at least try to give a synopsis. I'd assume. I don't know how they're going to do it without taking up too much time.
I kind of feel that the Batman versus Superman, you don't really need the backstory of Batman. He just comes in and he's just a badass.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that. I just wonder if they always like to still try to do a reorigin story, but yeah, I don't feel like they need to take too much time. Even the Superman one, like you had it, but I mean, they actually sped it up pretty well. You still had the stuff where he's with the Kents and stuff, but I mean, you still kind of know the Superman origin story, the Batman, so it would be okay if he just came in, if Batman just showed up and was just badass kind of thing. And then you just fill in kind of how he works in this universe or in this kind of thing. You'd fill that in with the Batcave and stuff.
Yeah, because he's already older and everything too. He's like basically like a veteran of the streets. And
but so he's already
grizzled.
Did they already say that? Like he's playing...
Yeah, they cast Ben Affleck because they wanted like the older Batman, the one who's more experienced and kind of seen a whole bunch of shit and everything. So
that's why he's sad, Batman.
Don't let him hear you say that.
Yes.
Yeah.
He'll just run you down with his Batmobile. But yeah, that makes sense. So an older veteran Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah, that could work. And then you really don't have to spend time really rehashing. So you can just spend more time just watching them to just go at it or do whatever they gotta do. Or spend, I guess, more time introducing other Justice League. I don't know. It seems a little weird if they're going to do that. Because
I don't think they should introduce other ones. I mean, they should establish the Batman and Superman thing. And maybe cameo something towards the end or something. Like an after credits thing, giving us something.
I guess, but it sounds like they're doing more than that. Because it sounds like they don't even have... From their roadmap, I guess, they have Superman, Batman, and Justice League. And I guess the Dead Man Land in between, where I guess
Wonder Woman's gonna figure in.
She's going to get a movie, or
no? She's figuring into the Batman versus Superman movie.
But but
so
it's gonna.
Yeah, I don't.
That's
think
what I'd heard. But she's. I do wonder how big of a thing she's going to get, and especially if you're not going to give her own movie somewhere in between. And like you'd have to get like a Trinity thing. Basically, like you could have done Trinity, like that book where they basically come together. Kind of, but I mean,
it might.
There's an example of like where you have
the three title and everything's going to change again.
Just show up. I mean, just throw like a lasso onto the logo. Might as well just add a lasso to it, and then boom.
And it's gonna be instead of Batman v Superman, Dawn
v
of Justice,
Wonder Woman.
It's gonna be Batman v Superman v Wonder Woman.
There you go. And then
forget the Dawn of Justice thing. We're just gonna put Wonder Woman at the bottom.
We're just gonna add another V, and then by the time we get to Justice League, we'll just have everyone versus everybody else, because then that'll be what people are used to.
So it's going to start, the next thing is going to be a lasso, then there's going to be a green ring on there somewhere.
It's just going to
get a lightning bolt.
It's like somebody's unclean closet or something that just has stuff piling up into it. I mean, I really hope that they pull it off, but I mean, we don't really have any information, to be honest. No. So there's no reason to believe it's not going to get pulled off, but you are trying to do a lot of stuff at one time. Although the movie's not coming out till 2016? So
yeah.
And,
well, they just barely started filming right now.
Well, even then, 2 years is a long time because they started filming. They're not even in pre-production; they're in actual production now. So, a year of filming for the movie and a year of editing for the movie? It seems like it's a long production.
Depends how much CGI they use.
Plus,
too.
hasn't it been pushed back already or something?
Oh, it's been pushed back like 3 times already, hasn't it?
So, I mean, it's just like, okay. I mean, I'm hyped for it again, mostly because of like the images that have come out, but it's also not showing up for another 2 years. So unless you're going to keep doling out the hype, eventually you just be like, okay, just come up with a movie. Okay?
The next hype is going to be when Ben Affleck is going to voice Bruce Wayne, but as Batman he has a voice modulator, kind of like what Kevin Smith was saying. And then the voice modulator is actually going to be taken over and done by Kevin Conroy.
Oh, man.
So instead of...
How's that for hype?
Well, I mean, yeah, that would work. And then you still gotta wait 2 more years.
Damn it.
Then you're like, then you're all happy again because like I remember everyone was down on Ben, but then that picture of him looking badass next to the Batmobile, you're like, okay, we'll see what he's got 2 years from now. Yeah, I want to see it like soon.
Like we don't even have
later.
a trailer yet. I mean, come on, give us a trailer. Finish filming
trailer
already.
for this movie that's not coming out for 2 years.
Well, we recorded an hour.
I mean, it does seem like I don't know. Maybe it isn't that long, but 2 years just.
Well, the thing is, they released the images and everything so early, so that's.
Well, had to do something. I guess
they kind of needed to get the hype back up because I mean, this did get a lot more people back onto the bandwagon for this because before that, everyone was like Ben Affleck, no.
Batfleck.
Yeah. So at least this one got them back on board for Ben Affleck, and it's like okay, like you were saying,
True.
okay, let's give him a shot.
But I mean,
even though we have to wait 2 years,
yeah, you don't really. I mean, I guess you'd want to keep hype going, but I mean, it's a long road from here to there. You could have, you could have achieved the same thing if you had released that picture, maybe a year from when the movie's coming out, or less, kind of thing. Then everyone would have been like, oh, okay. Like, are you just trying to keep the hype going the whole time? I guess you could, but I mean, and it's just like. I wonder if people start getting just tired. It's like, yeah, I'm really excited about it, but it's forever from now, kind of thing. So, I just say what they're going to do with it, though. Right?
Yep.
Well, only time will tell.
Yeah, I mean, 2 years. That's a long time.
But in the meantime, we still got all these other movies that are coming out that.
Don't worry, Disney's got it covered. We got Avengers.
Guardians of the
Well,
Galaxy.
yeah, it's good for. It sucks for DC, but good for Marvel and everybody else. That the Superman Batman movie ain't coming out anytime soon, so no need to worry about that.
At least we'll be entertained.
Yeah, we are not getting.
Warner Brothers will always have their direct-to-video releases.
That is true, and those ones are actually really good anyway, so it's like, just keep watching those until this comes out, and hopefully it does good.
Hopefully.
Crossing my fingers. Alrighty. Well, I think we're good for the night. Did you have anything else, Keiko?
Oh, yeah. I had something just from the last podcast because we were talking about the Disney passes.
Yeah, go ahead.
I forgot to mention that we don't have blackout passes anymore for annual pass holders.
Wait, what?
Yeah, because normally if you had a deluxe passport or a SoCal and you want to get in on a day, they no longer offer blackout passes. So if you want to get in on a day that you're blocked out on your pass, you got to buy a full day ticket.
A full day ticket?
Yeah.
Oh.
For a second there, I thought you said something that was going to benefit us.
No.
Yeah, I did too. I was like, no blackout dates. So why?
Because
I'll
it used
just
to
get
be
the-
really cheap. It used to be like if you wanted to get in, it was like $40, and they raised it to $50, and all of a sudden they jumped it up to like 82 or 84. And then with this last price increase, they're like, we're already there. Full price, $96.
I would
So
be surprised if like later on they come back. Okay, if you have an annual pass, we're going to charge you more to come in on your blackout day. Because.
so it's gonna turn into, if you have a premium annual pass, you only have to pay $10 to come into the park. You know, that's it. It's discount. It's a discount card, basically.
Yeah, basically, then you only have to pay $10 to use it.
Oh, great.
Yeah, so just that little PSA. Just forgot from last time. So much news.
Yeah, I mean, with the whole prices and everything, that's insane.
Yeah. Did you have anything you wanted to add before we close out?
No, I mean, we kind of went over a lot of stuff that I want to talk about. I mean, I've been wanting to talk about the Arrow and Flash and Arkham or Gotham. Yeah. Look at that. Yeah, I mean, I've been watching Arrow since it started, so I've been pretty hyped about that, and I was pretty excited when Flash came onto the Arrow, and that was awesome. And then when I found out that he was actually getting his own show, that made it even better. So, yeah. So I'm pretty much good. So
plenty of good things just coming, even if it may take many years, but that's still many years of entertainment for nerds like us.
yeah.
And just everyone else in general.
Yep. Everyone can enjoy, even if you aren't a nerd. Exactly. Well, until next week, this is the kNights podcast. It was me and Corey. We got Ben.
Hey.
And Kikoa.
Later.
Later.
Bye.
Bye.